Rick, we just use the term FDA approved. What does FDA approved mean, and how is that relevant here?
Well, in the US, for example, we've had 9 artificial discs that have gone through FDA trial, and 3 of them were for a 2-level disc replacement. So when they say it's approved by the FDA, it has undergone a very, very rigorous scientific evaluation. Usually it's a randomized. In the beginning, it was randomized artificial disc to fusion. And then as we gain more and more experience, they became randomized to now disc to another artificial disc. So it gives the patients, at least in the United States, the assurance that what we've tested has been rigorously studied. We have patients that have gone to Europe, but their FDA or their FDA-like organization that approves their artificial disc and other instrumentation is not nearly as rigorous as we are here in the US. And while it is easier to get approval for new designs in Europe, I'm actually very proud of the fact that when we offer our patient an artificial disc here, we can safely say that it has passed rigorous evaluations. And most of these studies now have to be followed out for 7 and even 10 years.
One of the interesting things about the FDA approval is that it approves a company's ability to market a product, distribute a product, but the FDA does not regulate what physicians and surgeons can do. So we as surgeons are not controlled by the FDA. So we often do things that are called off-label, which means the FDA trial is for a very specific indication for a 1-level disc replacement, a 2-level disc replacement, but we may choose and take a look and say we need to do a 3-level disc replacement, or we need to do what's called a hybrid, where we do a fusion and a disc replacement. And so that's not governed by the FDA, but it doesn't mean it's not a good approach or scientific.
That's a really good point, Tom. The thing is, the FDA doesn't govern the practice of medicine. And I think as long as you have a discussion with the patient stating that I think that this operation, as you said, a hybrid, which would be a fusion at 1 level and maybe 1 or 2 artificial discs at another level, is the best thing for you because of such and such. As long as the patient is informed and they understand that this is not according to the FDA approval, it doesn't mean to say that it still is not a good operation for a patient. And in fact, I'd venture to say that the 4 of us do a lot of off-label surgeries, but again, we discuss with the patient so that they're aware of the fact and understanding the difference between an FDA-approved product and the practice of medicine, which is totally different and outside the FDA's purview.
Absolutely. Todd, when we talk about that, an off-label, such as a hybrid, where you're combining a fusion and an artificial disc, if artificial discs are so great, why would you ever not do artificial discs on everybody? Why would you bother doing a fusion?
Well, sometimes the patient may have severe arthritis of a disc level and the joints at that level that really make doing an artificial disc, because you have to remember, when we replace the disc with an artificial disc, we're relying on the 2 joints in the back of the spine to function normally. And sometimes those joints may be severely damaged, and so damaged so much that they're not going to provide the stability necessary to help the artificial discs function normally. So sometimes we might say, hey, we need to fuse that 1 disc, but the one next to it now also is the one we want to treat, and we can do an artificial disc there. In fact, there was 1 disc FDA approved next to fusion, and that was the PCM disc, which has now been obsoleted and off the market. So there is a protocol standard in the FDA approval process for hybrid surgeries. There's an ongoing surgical artificial disc trial now that also allows the artificial 1-level artificial to be placed next to an old fusion. That's called the Synergy disc trial. And so there are trials available, but as Dr. Geyer said, the FDA does not regulate if we choose to use a device in an off-label manner. It's our duty to consent our patients and say, hey, now we're using this in an off-label manner, because really what the FDA is doing is they're saying, hey, this device is safe and effective. And if the physician chooses to use it in an off-label manner, the FDA doesn't care. That's the doctor and patient relationship decision to make. So we can do that. I think the hangup comes with insurance companies because they like to use the FDA approval rating as the method of approving the surgeries, and then they call everything else experimental, when really it's not, because there have been numerous publications on hybrid surgeries, and in fact, they're very safe and effective. I, in fact, am a hybrid. I have a fusion at C6-7, and I have an artificial disc at C5-6, and my neck works beautifully, and I'm very happy. And I think you're a hybrid, Dr.
That's
Schuler.
true. I have 2 artificial discs in my neck and 2 fusions. So, I mean, I think this concept of hybrid is important for the public to understand, that it's a great opportunity to treat the problem.